I'm telling them that someone has to get more of a fair share of the market than the next guy. And fear stands in the way, loneliness stands in the way, and it erodes people's confidence. There's always business to be had. Why shouldn't you have it? So I'm getting them to be more aggressive and more confident in reaching out.
And of course, Barbara, on Bloomberg, we talk about the Fed all the time. We talk about high interest rates all the time. Matt has made the point just this morning that even if the Fed cut rates in September, that's going to work with a lag. You're not going to feel that immediately in the economy. What is the on-the-ground view, the on-the-ground perspective that you're hearing about how high interest rates are filtering through down to small business owners?
Over the last 6 months, it's been nothing but a series of complaints. I almost put my phone on mute when I get a call from someone. But in the last month, I would say once people are past the fear, people are feeling more optimistic. My very tiny entrepreneurs who just started within the last year are feeling more optimistic because they're greatly affected by business loans and they're expecting the rates to come down somewhat. So they're feeling more optimism, I would say, overall across the board.
When you think across the board as well, and you think about the costs that business owners are still struggling with, it's everything from real estate costs, as you know very, very well, this industry. It's also still wondering about where labor goes from here. What are the biggest challenges you're seeing that they have, and who do you think comes in to fix it?
The only one who can fix a business is the entrepreneur themselves. That's why our webinar series sponsored by AT&T Business is so valuable, because we give a lot of practical answers and examples and interview a lot of people who are doing it right. Really, the only thing that gets in the way of a business moving forward is really thinking that it's a time to be afraid. But what I have learned in business, every time I moved my own business ahead, it was in the worst of times that everybody was a naysayer. Because when those times hit, everybody's laying low and everybody's afraid to move ahead. And that's when you can actually grab the basis of customers from your main competition if you care to, because there's great opportunity all around that you could take advantage of.
Barbara, we talk about interest rates now as if they are sky high and we've never seen anything like this, 7% mortgage rates. You became famous, made your fortune, started your career in real estate at a time when rates could get much higher. What do you tell people who are worried about, rates at this level, paralyzing transactions?
It's really a waste of time to spend a minute worrying about it. The only thing that counts in growing a business is what can you do about it? And certainly you have no control over the rates. But I do remember when interest rates were 18%, and everybody was afraid of buying except the super rich because they had the capital behind them to go out there and pay all cash for anything they wanted. They took advantage. They got 30% discounts on the market rate of a year before, the price rate of a year before. I tell people that whenever there's a change in the making a business and everybody's afraid, just have to look around and see where you could take advantage and where you could go in and scoop something out. At that time when interest rates were 18%, I remember making the actual decision in one day to switch my business halfway out of sales and go into rentals to move with the market. But it's funny how, not even funny, but it's sad how entrepreneurs get stuck with their old reality of what they specialize in and what they're good at. I learned the rental market right away because I had to, because there were no sales.
Well, to use a personal example, when it comes to real estate, I tried to buy a house, an apartment, and the interest rates were just too high. And my bet there was, okay, I'll just wait a couple of years, sign another multi-year lease, and then hope on the other side that rates will be lower. How much pent-up demand do you think is on the other side of lower mortgage rates from here?
Tremendous demand because there are so many people thinking exactly as you are. And if you would take my advice, I would say get out there, because what you have right now, which you won't have if rates come down another point, they just came down, but you need one more point to bring everybody out into the market. And what's going to happen is you're going to pay more for the house. So what have you really gained by paying the landlord over these years and taking the increases in rent? Not much, because prices have gone up. But wait till you see what happens with prices when interest rates come down another percentage point.
Well, to that end, also,
out there today.
Right. Interest rates go down, prices go up. And at the end of the day, how much, Barbara, do you worry about housing affordability in this country?
I worry about it all the time on two fronts. Rents keep going up anywhere in the United States, and that's a real concern because people can't afford the rents based on their income. And I also worry much more so about people getting their piece of the American dream, buying their first house, because the first house market, the starter house market, is the hardest hit, where the greatest bidding is going on. I even had I had the daughter of a friend of mine tell me that last week she was competing against her two best friends in the New York market. It's crazy. And she's going to have to invite them for dinner parties after. So there's so much competitive bidding, so much going over the price, and so much fear going around because people feel like can't get ahead. No, starter prices are a real problem in America, and they're going up everywhere.
Barbara, I want to get back to the small businesses you're helping out. You're working with AT&T Business, talking about technology-driven solutions. That immediately makes me think of AI, artificial intelligence. And I wonder, given that you've seen the real estate market and business move through the internet age, what's your take on this new, supposedly revolutionary technology?
Well, it's a very good parallel you draw, because I remember the days when I went on the internet and I was the first over 2 years before my competitors went on, and what an advantage it was. But I had one magic thing: I wasn't afraid. What's stopping people using AI, and what so much chatter is around it, I'm sure you've sensed it, is that people are afraid of it. But it's really like a muscle that you have to use and exercise. And it doesn't even take as much muscle as getting into the internet took, which was rather complicated for a lot of small businesses. All you have to do is schedule 10 minutes a day and just fool around with it. And you start to learn excuse me, AI and how you can use it in your business. It's the single best thing that has affected small business. And that's why we made it a topic of our third AT&T seminar, because people need to know how they could use A1 to save costs of hiring people that they get for free now by using AI. They used to have to contend with the payroll. Who do I hire? AI does all the grudge work today for every small business. I'm going to change your attitude toward AI.